The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
I'm sure you've heard the expression, a bad day fishing is still better than a good day at work. Unfortunately, those gone fishing days may be causing a lot of work for someone else, environmental work. Every year, approximately 100,000 marine animals die from ingesting or becoming entangled in plastic discarded in the sea. Things like nylon lines, six-pack holders, and food wrappers may be turning the catch of the day into the death of the day. Hi, I'm Corey James. Welcome to Today's Environment, where we confront issues affecting the Earth and examine the solutions that are making it better. Years ago in Salem, they burned witches. More often than not, making decisions with incomplete information or with misinformation may lead to foolish behavior. In today's world, condemning processes and technologies without thoroughly understanding them can also lead to disastrous decisions. So, can you tell me what radiation is? All right, Emily?
I think radiation is when the sun sends rays to your body until you fry to a crisp.
Really? Okay, how about you, Tommy?
I think radiation is what McDonald's uses to cook your fries.
You do, huh? And how about Erica over here?
I think radiation is a nation that makes and sells radios to other nations.
Possibly. Those are some great answers. But you know, if I asked the same question to a room full of adults, I bet I'd get the same wild answers. Because radiation just might be one of the most misunderstood terms on the planet.
It's the heat from a campfire or heater, and the radio waves that bring you primetime television. One word, energy, can describe all radiation. It's a powerful natural force that occurs normally in our soil, water, food, our bodies, and the air around us. Large amounts also come from the sun. Every human being and most everything around us is radioactive and always has been.
But don't let this frighten you, because there's a huge difference between radioactivity and dangerous radioactivity.
One type of radiation in the form of X-rays has been helping us medically for many years. But some heavy concentrations of radiation hold the potential for causing hazards. Nuclear scientists, engineers, and researchers, many of whom belong to the American Nuclear Society, understand radiation and focus on managing it safely. Learning more about this natural phenomenon may allow us to apply it to many beneficial uses and deal with it better when it is dangerous. Already, radiation of mosquitoes and other pests help to eliminate thousands of tons of pesticides from the environment by making them sterile. The sterile pests can breed naturally, but no offspring result. This prevents them from reproducing their swarms and helps limit the spread of disease or the destruction of crops. Using gamma radiation, we can also eliminate bacteria and extend shelf life in many foods. Disposal of radioactive residues from years of Cold War atomic weapons production and spent fuel from other types of reactors have created areas that remain an important priority for environmental engineers. But the massive cleanup effort started in recent years does have some positive aspects. The new knowledge and technology we're gaining has helped us discover additional beneficial uses for radiation, and it will certainly improve our handling and disposal of radioactive waste. In these days of scarce resources and unacceptably high levels of air, soil, and water pollution, safely applying radiation may help us reduce pollution and conserve resources.
Those techniques might help us leave the next generation with a cleaner planet and the means to sustain it.
Did you know that by recycling one aluminum can, you're saving about enough energy to run your television set for about 3 hours? One empty can could be your ticket to watch the Super Bowl. Get involved with Today's Environment today.
So is radiation a villain or hero? A curse or a blessing? Well, the answer is all of the above. Some radioactivity can be very harmful, but other forms could hold the answers to many environmental problems. New uses of this old phenomenon are helping to clean up the planet and keep it cleaner.
Problems, problems, problems. Sometimes all we hear about the world we live in are the problems facing it.
If we look at only the problems, it would seem that the human race is running roughshod all over the planet. But many people struggle every day trying to solve the challenges of energy, resource conservation, and pollution. So what are the results of their work?
Solutions. 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 Some of these innovative problem solvers work in the field of nuclear science and apply their understanding of radioisotopes to combat pollution. This environmental scientist, a member of the American Nuclear Society, is using radiation to track the migration of an herbicide spray. Air, soil, and water samples can be analyzed in the chamber of a mass spectrometer using neutrons to activate the components in the sample. Every compound then gives off a specific wavelength of energy, which acts as a fingerprint to identify it. The type and quantity of pollutants can be determined and their migration from the source monitored. Radioisotopes can also be used to track salmon and study their reproductive habits. The sacrifice of our precious wetlands for development and agriculture stands out as a serious environmental concern. The energy given off by certain isotopes can help us measure sedimentation rates and understand these fragile ecosystems better. As radioactive isotopes become more important in environmental and other applications like medicine, forensics, and many other sciences, maintaining a steady supply of these elements will be absolutely necessary.
One source available now is the stored nuclear waste left over from over 40 years of atomic weapons production. Now, the technology exists to recycle much of that waste and extract the useful isotopes.
Few people would imagine that such an ecological puzzle could be the source of some environmental remedies. But being open to using all our resources wisely may be the key to healing a planet in crisis, because we just might find that the three most common types of radiation, alpha, beta, and gamma, could actually give future generations a ray of hope. In a moment, on Today's Environment, this telemanipulator keeps humans from danger, plus another waste stream avoids the landfill. Next.
How can you handle something you shouldn't even touch? Well, I know it sounds like a trick question, but it's not. You see, anyone who deals with hazardous waste and radioactive materials must cope with that problem every day. And very often, the proper solution depends on the right tools.
Some things are just made for hugging, but others you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Unfortunately, toxic nuclear and chemical waste abounds on this planet, and like it or not, we have to handle it in order to keep it from contaminating our air, soil, and water. Properly dealing with hazardous and radioactive materials requires a combination of specialized training and very specialized tools. This technician at Central Research Laboratories operates one of several types of telemanipulators. These high-tech articulated appendages can allow us to handle dangerous substances without risking the health and welfare of the handler. They're called telemanipulators because they exactly mimic the actions of the operator. With natural feedback of sight, sound, and force, a technician can accomplish extremely precise tasks from a safe, remote location. Tasks range from simply picking something up to assembling and repairing highly sophisticated machinery. These mechanical arms have already joined hands with other tools in the battle to decontaminate the radioactive legacy that remains from our Cold War nuclear weapons production. They also give us a helping hand when hazardous waste rears its ugly head. Now, these manipulators may also reach out into other areas where humans are at risk. Underwater, in clean rooms, Even in space, these highly sensitive mechanical extensions of human hands and arms can give us access and dexterity in hostile or sterile environments without exposing us to harm. By manipulating fingers, hands, and arms, an operator sends commands to the articulated mechanical wrists and fingers. Mechanical linkages relay forces back to the operators, which gives them the sense of feel for the task at hand. At a time when toxic and nuclear waste threatens to bring the planet to its knees, a helping hand from a mechanical friend might help put Mother Earth back on her feet.
Recycle one bottle and you could save enough energy to run a 100-watt bulb for about 4 hours. Now that's a bright idea. Recycle and get involved with today's environment today.
A great poet once wrote, "All that glitters is not gold." Now, if he were alive today, maybe he'd write, "All that's in the dumpster is not trash." Technology is finding new ways to turn waste into a resource. Here's one example.
The glass slipper. Who could forget the storybook romance whose fate hung on a party pump made of one of the world's most recyclable resources? But this is no Cinderella story. Once upon a time, America became industrialized, resulting in a flow of waste more abundant than finished goods. Soon after, the electronic age arrived, bringing the amount of waste to an even higher level. Landfills filled so quickly, they became an endangered species. Then, along came a concept: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Some people took it to heart, like the workers at this plant operated by Conversion Technologies. They take what no one wants and turn it into what someone needs. Metal-enriched fly ash from the aluminum industry, baghouse dust, waste CRT glass, and millions of pounds of other industrialized wastes now have a home other than an overclogged landfill or hazardous incinerator. But just what do they do with countless tons of tossed-out debris? Well, they melt it into glass. No, they're not making slippers that can turn overworked stepdaughters into princesses overnight. Actually, they're making abrasives, blasting particles that can strip paint, grease, or other coatings right off a surface. But while these Alumaglass particles may be rough on old paint, they treat the environment with kid gloves. Not only do these abrasives come from recycled waste products, the particles can be recycled and reused again and again and again. And often, blasting with abrasives replaces cleaning operations that were once dependent on industrial solvents that produce barrels of liquid hazardous waste. And there's no need to mine anymore for natural abrasives such as garnet. An energy-efficient process fuels the infernos that can turn industrial waste into recyclable glass abrasives. And high-tech emission control systems keep the manufacturing process for these earth-friendly particles easy on the planet. Recyclable abrasives do some of the toughest, grittiest jobs imaginable. But on the environment, they're just pussycats. Hey, these bits of glass may not help anyone find their prince, but with Mother Nature, they could have an everlasting romance that helps us all live happily ever after. The vanpool. You can't swim in it, but it sure helps cut pollution. And the rewards of analyzing travel and human behavior. We explore both concepts next on Today's Environment.
Our hats off to people who ride the bus. You see, a loaded bus represents about 40 cars not on the highway. And those automobiles could add up to a line of traffic a couple of blocks long and a whole lot of pollution. Here's another idea that may inspire more riders and less drivers.
Feel the wind rushing through your hair. Push the pedal to the metal and shift into overdrive. Nothing beats the freedom of the highway.
Except too many cars. Too often the thrill of the open road is simply lost to the frustration of rush hour traffic clogged with commuters.
All across our nation, freeways designed for safe travel at 55 miles per hour turn into long, narrow parking lots. where engines that can accelerate from 0 to 60 in several seconds creep along at a snail's pace. Stalled traffic wastes natural resources and dumps tons of unnecessary pollutants into the air. There's got to be a better way, and one alternative may be the vanpool. This one, operated by King County Metro in Seattle, is one of many vanpools initiated to cut down on the number of automobiles clogging the freeways every day. This regional system has about 532 vans in service, the largest publicly owned in the nation. It uses a computerized matching system to group individual commuters with other people near their home, and also works with entire companies to efficiently match employees to vanpools. But the program goes far beyond simply matching people with similar commuter routes. King County Metro supplies the van and the driver training necessary to maintain a successful vanpool. Rider fees pay for maintenance, gas, and insurance, and usually add up to far less than the cost of commuting alone. Driver training prepares people to properly operate the vans, which are larger than most passenger cars. And from then on, support from a professional customer support team is given to make the van pooling experience enjoyable and hassle-free.
A discovery many commuters make after joining a van pool is just like any other group. You can make friends, fall in love, or simply get better acquainted with your neighbor or coworker.
To ensure this happens, a new vanpool group is encouraged to establish rules when they first form to eliminate any minor conflicts within the group. In addition to cutting down on commuter traffic, getting more cars off the road helps reduce the amount of pollutants gushing into the air. And while vanpool riders minimize their impact on the environment, they can often maximize their use of the time that was once squandered on a lengthy commute. Reducing commuter traffic may help free us from our daily sentence to asphalt prisons surrounded by bars made of chrome bumpers. And it's this newfound freedom that just may bring back the thrill of the open road that stretches across a cleaner planet.
Here's an easy way to save gas and the environment. Don't use drive-through windows. While you sit in line idling, your car continues to gobble up gas and spew emissions. So park it and give us all a break. Now here's another environmental road story.
Looks like gridlock, bumper-to-bumper, stop-and-go traffic. It can be a sordid, constant ritual where travelers waste time, waste resources, and precious clean air if there isn't appropriate and timely planning. While miles of traffic sit idling on many of the nation's freeways, millions of engines gulp barrels of oil and belch tons of emissions. Many communities today are searching for a solution to maintain or increase mobility and at the same time be kind to our environment and bank accounts. The typical historical response of pave, widen, and pave some more may no longer be the best financially or environmentally. In analyzing this situation, Comsys Corporation in Silver Spring, Maryland, employs transportation specialists to apply high-tech MenuTP software to help evaluate new and creative solutions to these challenges. Americans love their cars and the freedom those four wheels bring them. But with the growth in population, the number of trips taken and their length continues to increase, negating much of our environmental progress and often causing severely congested conditions. Keeping people moving freely involves the availability of realistic travel choices, incentives for these choices, and the appropriate pricing of options. Behavioral and statistical data are incorporated with advanced planning software to develop a model showing the workings of the transport system and how people use it. The Comsys TDM model is used to evaluate how people will respond under various conditions, such as better transit service, HOV lanes, tolls, or other changes in travel costs. For each option, a forecast of pollution emissions is prepared based on traffic volumes, speeds, and vehicle types. This information can then be presented to civic leaders as real options and their effects, both today and years from now. So just what does it take to entice people to use the rail lines, van pools, or carpools? Can telecommuting be the key to solving urban traffic congestion? All options and their mobility, financial, and environmental impact can be weighed and analyzed. and the resulting solutions can be far more cost-effective than traditional roadway expansion. It's a fact of life. For our society to function, many people need to travel from point A to point B and back again at least 5 days a week. The challenge for transportation planners, consultants, and specialists is to develop systems and solutions that can maintain the mobility we all want without letting traffic ruin the quality of our lives.
Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Sure is good advice, but we don't often follow it. And that can cost our environment plenty, especially if the put-off chore is caulking and weather stripping your home. Each year, generating the electricity to heat an average home releases about 1,100 pounds of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Better weatherproofing could significantly take the weight off that figure. I hope this show aroused your interest to get involved. Join us again next time as we explore more environmental solutions on Today's Environment.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.